Hi, this is Beth Raspberry, and this is my summary of the article titled Understanding Education for Social Justice. One of the things that stood out to me in this article can be found on page 14. The authors write, a third strand in the social justice literature includes ethnographic and narrative works that offer portraits of injustice related to schools and education, reflections by educators committed to social justice, and narratives about personal experiences of lived injustice. Writings in this strand tend to be passionate and evocative. As a professional, as well as a student, I can say that when I'm reading information or presented something that is filled with passion, emotions, and evokes feelings, it's something I can relate to. I want to learn more. It does result in a call for action where I want to get up and help and do and make change. So this is something that I'm confident I can incorporate into my curriculum. Something that I resisted this week is how the authors had the article laid out. For me, it was more difficult to understand the different genres without taking time to read each one thoroughly, to think it through and process it, and then relate it to my practice. I have to say, I was more resistant because I wanted the authors to be very clear cut, have an opinion behind what they were writing, and instead just the way that it was presented was more of the factual pieces, which I think was extremely helpful. It just was a little more difficult for me and required me to take more time to process it and understand how I could utilize it for myself and my students. Finally, one of the takeaways that I had and I want to mention is found on page 21. The authors mention the importance of dialogue. They suggest it's an important part of engaging in the difficult work of making connections, building bridges, and developing alliances that may help us to more effectively center a social justice agenda in schools and society, especially at a time when the commitment to social justice in education seems to be wavering. I think it's important for us as educational professionals to remember that this is an issue that impacts so many people in society, and it is something that we cannot minimize its importance. In regards to incorporating it into education, as professionals, we have to be open to talking to each other and learning what works for someone and what may or may not work for us. We have to be open to change, and we have to be open to doing something new for our students that will benefit them in the long run. We are all working towards the same goal of educating students to be productive citizens in society, and we need for them to understand that social justice is something they cannot ignore, and there has to be change, and for them to learn to advocate for themselves as well as others that they believe are being treated unjustly. Those are my takeaways from this article, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say.